Well, hello again. Another week has flashed by. It's good grief. It's February already, is it? I think it is, yeah. Sunday, the 1st of February 2026. Set the timer. Not that it really matters, but to give me some idea about how long I've been talking for. Yes, 37 degrees here today. That's centigrade, of course, not Fahrenheit. Okay, so what have I seen this week in the wonderful world of ETs coming here and crashing here, and their technology is being reverse engineered, piffle peddling? What have I seen this week in the world of the great UFO-tainment swindle? Okay, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp have been watching, obviously been watching Jake Barber's, pardon me, orb videos. They've been watching Jake Barber's, Skywatcher's, flocks of birds videos by the look of it. And it's inspired Mr. Knapp, who recently said he doesn't believe in aliens on the Weaponized podcast, and Mr. Corbell to show a video. This should never be seen, it's top secret, super classified. Three bright white dots. You can tell they're not attached to each other, you know, because the distances between them varies. Now in Knapp and Corbell's latest video, they're showing us basically an infrared video. It's an infrared video, and you can see three white dots manoeuvring against what initially looks like the sky or clouds. That's not the case. I mean, this this stuff is getting more and more pathetic. It really is. So they released this infrared video, and it's been shown on a few of these YouTube channels. Some are praising it, and some are picking holes in it, as they rightly should. It's certainly not sensational, it's certainly not game-changing, certainly not going to move the needle, certainly not towards people believing this. It might move it away. So, it's a video of three birds flying. And if I can find a video of three birds flying filmed in infrared, I'll stick a link to it below. I haven't done that. I have seen them in the past. It looks very similar. So you've got three birds flying, and you can tell it's birds because the shape of the white blobs is changing. Unless they're variable geometry orbs, it's three birds flying. And because they're flying, it requires effort. So they're showing up as white on the infrared footage. And they're flying in a triangular formation. Now, it has to be an infrared because if it was shot in ordinary colour video, it would be obvious that it was three birds being shot against the ground in the background. We would be able to clearly see their birds. The video was shot from a Reaper type drone, apparently, back in 2012. And I think it was supposedly in the Middle East. That's probably why. That's probably so we don't see the yellow sand. You know, we're supposed to in the background. We're supposed to think that's clouds. Of course, it's a bit windy today. I thought my bits of paper were blowing away. I mean, my comprehensively researched notes, I should say, rather. yeah, so supposedly this was shot from a Reaper-type drone back in 2012. And now, of course, it has the prerequisite poor definition. Even the tracking information, which is on the screen, surprisingly, isn't that easy to read. I mean, you can make it out, you can make out the position, and you can look it up on Google Earth if you want. I haven't done that, somebody else did. It apparently is in the Persian Gulf. I couldn't really care less where it was shot. It's very obviously it's very obviously not ET. We can see in the bottom right hand corner now in this infrared video with these three birds flying around in it in infrared, you can see these different parameters: range to target, etc, etc. Now the bottom right hand one is ELV, elevation, and it keeps fluctuating between 0, wait for it, between 0 and 3 feet. So it's 3 low-flying birds. I mean, you probably see birds in the background here. They fly across. You know, you can actually see them in the field of view, and they're probably only 3 feet above the ground. I mean, the ground's pretty high here, but yeah, they fly low to the ground all the time. So if you watch that video, just if you don't look at any of the other parameters, look at the one in the bottom right-hand corner, ELV, and it's going 0 up to 3, 0 up to 3. As it's looking at these birds. So the birds are flying along, and like birds do, they're dipping down towards the ground and they're coming up again to about 3 feet off the ground, and they're moving in relation to each other. And you can see the shape of the bright white blobs is changing because they're flapping. They are birds, and George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell think this is some sort of sensational revelation. You know, so the reason we're seeing the infrared is because if it was ordinary colour video, it would be very obviously 3 birds flying along low to the ground, maybe a sand background. That's why it's in infrared. Things look spooky in infrared generally. Mundane stuff like birds flying look a bit odd in infrared. So that would surely give the game away if they shot it in ordinary, if we saw an ordinary colour video of the same clip. So, you know, even cool. That's quite hot, that, in the sunlight. That little garden spade that I'm using to hold the notes down. So even in infrared, we can see the birds flapping. So if you do watch that video, just pay attention to it. Look at the blobs. You can see the geometry of the blobs changing. Look at ELV in the bottom right-hand corner. 3 birds flapping their wings, flying along low to the ground. Deserts in the background. Shot in infrared. Put a line through it. It's complete and utter rubbish, waste of time. Just like all the other times that, you know, Corbell and Knapp have wasted our time with IED balloons, you know, and was it the Mosul balloon? So yeah, so Corbell and Knapp's video, their latest one, is way beyond pathetic. I've written here, it's complete and utter rubbish. This would not fall a cheese and pickle sandwich. So put a line through Knapp and Corbell's latest UAP video. This was quite funny. I saw Gary Nolan being interviewed, and he was asked, I mentioned this last week, but I'll mention it in a bit more detail here. He was asked about debating Mick West. Of course, Nolan knows West would crucify him in any debate. So he refused. The interviewer said, Mick West said, you would say that. So the interviewer said to Nolan, so they asked Nolan if he would debate Mick West. Nolan said no. And the interviewer said, Mick West said you would say that. And Nolan said, Well, he had to be right about something sometime. Now, from the little I've seen of Mick West stuff, he seems to be right invariably. So Nolan knows Mick West would crucify him. That's why he won't debate him. So Nolan has a snide dig saying, well, he had to be right about something sometime. So that in itself tells us that Nolan would like nothing more than to make Mick West look a fool in a debate, to crush Mick West in a debate. He knows he can't do that. That's why he won't go anywhere near a debate with Mick West. He knows he'll get crucified. So, you know, Nolan would like nothing more than to destroy Mick West or any other debunker in a debate. He won't do that. He won't take Mick West or any of the other debunkers on. He prefers to keep himself cloaked in the backslapping echo chamber that is the Soul Foundation and all these other goons he hangs around with. He wouldn't dare take on anyone that could challenge him with any sensible questions. He would fold up like a pack of cards. He knows that. He's at least smart enough to know that. So he probably saw Mick West interviewing Lou Elizondo, and Mick West asked Lou Elizondo a few uncomfortable questions. I actually saw that interview and I thought Mick West was being overly kind to Elizondo. If that was me, I would have nailed him to the wall. Because he's trying to screw money out of, hard-earned money out of people with a lot of bullshit, and he knows it's bullshit. So don't tiptoe around people like Lou Elizondo. They do not deserve to be treated with respect. So I think Nolan saw the sort of questions that Mick West was asking Elizondo. I think that terrified him. That's why Nolan is saying there is no doubt that he will never, ever debate Mick West. He much prefers to surround himself with backslappers in the echo chamber. He cannot stand any kind of challenge. So, anyone with an IQ bigger than their shoe size knows if two parties have opposing opinions and are asked to debate the subject in public, the one that refuses the debate knows they've already lost. Anyone with an IQ bigger than their shoe size knows that. Two people, with an opposing point of view say, okay, well, let's just debate it. We'll debate it in public on YouTube, Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Everybody knows that the one that won't debate it knows they'll be crucified. It's like these stupid Apollo detectives, They won't debate me because they know I will nail them to the wall. Like I did last time. So, Nolan, he's obviously very smart in his field, but he's not smart enough to come up with the sort of software that Mick West can come up with. He's been a gaming programmer. He does these software analytical tools. Nolan couldn't come up with any of that. Nolan's got no argument against that. And he knows it, He'd have no chance of coming up with something like SitRec, which is West's interactive 3D situation recreation tool. Nolan couldn't do that. He knows it's good. He knows it works. That's why he can't argue with Mick West. And that's why Nolan hides under the table. It's not because he's this super brain and he won't lower himself to talk to people like Mick West or Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's because he knows he will get crucified if he did. Oh dear. And some of the little snide remarks he makes tells us that that is the case. He'll have a dig if he can, but it's always at a safe distance. Just keep an eye on him. You've got to bear in mind too that Nolan was associated with the TTSA. He may still be associated with Skywatcher. You know, summoning spacecraft telepathically. Nolan's associated with this complete and utter nonsense. These psionic assets. Fortunately, I know I was going to be talking briefly about Skywatcher today, so just in case, I did bring my anti-psionic asset attack helmet. Okay, there we go. I am now completely safe from Jake Barber, Mike Batista, or any of those other psionic assets reaching out to me with their minds, just like they reach out to these aliens. They summon them. Here, aliens. Yeah, boy. Have a rusk. Oh, of course, and Lou Elizondo's telekinetic attack. You know. I will be completely protected with my anti-Lou Elizondo telekinetic attack helmet. Nolan believed this. Complete and utter nonsense. Oh dear, I don't know. So he's associated with Skywatcher, you know, all the psionic assets out in the desert, summoning spacecraft with telepathy. Psionics, of course, is a term straight out of 1950s science fiction magazines. It's complete bullshit. They never summon it to come and land by the camera, you know, so you can get a good shot of it. It's just a little dot in the distance, always a little dot in the distance. They give Starlink satellites. And other members of the team with a drone with LED lights on it. You know, it's pathetic rubbish. Their dog whistle, theatrical prop, can't be examined because it's, you know, rolled up garage door with retic pipe wound around it. It's a joke. And of course we're still waiting for the Skywatcher peer-reviewed evidence to be produced. You know, did Skywatcher say by the end of 2025 they were going to produce tangible evidence that we're being visited by extraterrestrials? No. Flocks of birds, bugs, Starlink satellites and drones. Next caller, please. Put a line through Skywatcher. So, it's probably sucked up a lot of cash from gullible investors, Skywatcher. You know, we're going to be doing this. Oh yeah, stand on me, Terence. Anyone remember Biden? Oh dear, honestly, you know, you'd have to be as dumb as a box of hammers. You'd have to have the IQ of a cheese and pickle sandwich to even consider anything Skywatcher say as being factual. Other than they're going out in the desert and sitting in deck chairs. I'm prepared to believe they do that. Oh dear. So, I saw Mike Batista. It appeared to me that he was lying on a psychiatrist's couch. Finally found his real position in life. Mike Batista, Magic Mike. Now, I couldn't bring myself to watch an awful lot of this, but I just fell about laughing, and I think the phone rang, and I didn't bother going back to it, but I think what the gist of it is that he was saying that he's part Andromedan, or that he can psionically summon an alien from Andromeda. Now, we don't see any evidence of this, of course. We don't see a selfie with Mike and his mate from Andromeda. Now, I can't remember. He may have said that some people can do this because they have some Andromeda DNA. This is like Peter Paget's ridiculous claim that he's 52% Pleiadian. Oh, Peter Paget, not even his real name, of course. His real name is Fisher. He's done for fraud. So Batista is not part Andromedian. Fisher / Paget is not part Pleiadian. They are both, in fact, 100% plebeian. 100% run-of-the-mill bullshitters. Personal opinion. Prove me wrong by summoning a spacecraft, Mikey. Right here. Let's film it. Let's see a selfie with you and your pal from Andromeda. I think Batista's he's clutching at straws. He needs to make a living now that he's not in the military anymore. I think he's left the military, isn't he? Because then he went into a tactical clothing company. He was selling hoodies. So people probably sold a lot of them in London. So people could cycle around stealing people's mobile phones. But he's got a hoodie company. I don't know whether he's still selling the hoodies. But he's obviously not selling too many hoodies. I think he might be doing other tactical wear as well. Although I did read some reviews, and people that actually wear tactical wear in a situation where you might need it say you're better off just getting real tactical wear, ex-military, surplus military stuff. So I suspect Mr. Batista's hoodie company is going down the gurgler, and he's clutching at straws trying to get an income from this complete and utter rubbish science fiction claptrap. There was him and that Carl Crusher, another one, put a line through Crusher, zero credibility, showing Starlink satellites, complete and utter rubbish. They know it's rubbish. They are trying to fleece the gullible, the fanboys that so desperately want all this bullshit to be true. They want your money, Oh, look at these. They're not Starlink satellites. They're alien spacecraft. I've just mentally summoned them. See the little dots in the distance going up and down like that. What you don't see, of course, is any manoeuvring. Always travelling in straight lines, just like Starlink satellites. They never come close to the camera. That'll be $50, please. Ka-ching! There we go. Thank you very much. That's probably cheap. So put a line through these guys. They're just a complete and utter waste of time. The great UFO-tainment swindle grinds on. That's what it's all about. There's no substance to any of this. So Paget's Pleiadians are only 444.2 light years away. Pretty easy. Pretty easy to get Pleiadian visitors, only 442 light years. Batista's aliens from Andromeda have got to come a little bit further. They're 2.537 million light years away. Just going to pop to Earth to get a sandwich. It's all right, dear. Mr. Batista's summoning me again. I won't be long. I've just got to travel 2,537 light years, just so I can appear out of shot when he takes a selfie of himself sitting in a deck chair. As part of the Skywatcher program. I can hardly wait to invest. Where's my checkbook? Oh dear. Has anyone asked these clowns, that's what they are, what the Pleiadians and the Andromedans call themselves? Obviously they're not going to be calling themselves Pleiadians and Andromedans, are they? Because that's the names we've given to that galaxy and that constellation. So they're not going to say, hi, I'm from the Pleiades. I'm from Andromeda. They're not going to say that, are they? What do they call themselves? Oh dear. It's drivel, isn't it? You know. How many times do I have to say this drivel would insult the intelligence of a cheese and pickle sandwich? Now, there's another bit here on Nolan. As I've said before, I do make these notes at different times. Or is this could be a follow-on really? Nolan into Skywatcher, back into Nolan again. Apparently didn't get any ET material from Bigelow Aerospace. Now, I thought that certainly the TTSA and Bigelow had that. I thought Nolan did. I thought he got that layered bismuth magnesium material, you know, where he was asking all the wrong questions about it. You know, who would engineer a substance like this? What on earth would they engineer it for? When of course it's just industrial waste from a from the Betterton Kroll lead purification process, where bismuth and magnesium gets bubbled through the lead. It takes the impurities with it and it forms a little crust on the surface. They scrape it off and throw it away. It's not engineered for a purpose. Strange layered bismuth magnesium material. Must be alien. And I think I thought that Nolan got hold of that, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, it's really weird material. You know, why would anyone make this stuff?" You know, and I thought that came from Bigelow Aerospace. Certainly came via Linda Moulton Howe, didn't it? I mean, wasn't she Bigelow's girlfriend at the time? And the TTSA, this lot are as dodgy as Arthur Daly, all of them. So why is Nolan saying he never got any of this ET material when he was asking questions like, who would engineer this stuff? Didn't he understand that was ET material? He was analysing it to see if that was extraterrestrial. I think they gave a piece of it to Arrow and they analysed it and said it had never been in space because cosmic rays affect materials in different ways. This had not been affected by cosmic rays. It had never been in space. So Nolan could have always taken this material home, of course, this layered bismuth magnesium material. He didn't need to keep it at the lab because he gets regularly visited at home in his bedroom by aliens. He's told us this in the past. You know, they come and sit around his bed for weeks on end. He doesn't wake his brother, he doesn't tell his parents when he's a kid. You know, he's an adult, then they come to see him now. He's a day before he was about to start his job as a professor. Well, I mean, if he took it home, the next time one of these aliens materialises in his bedroom, he can say, what do you use this stuff for? Assuming that the alien that appears in his bedroom is representing the species that actually left this material on Earth. What a load of rubbish, isn't it? Absolute drivel. Oh dear. Yeah. Don't know if the TTSA is still going, but you know, send us your money. We'll build a starship. You know, Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis have told us they know how to do it. Money was sent, no starship was produced. I don't know whether Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis are still involved with the TTSA, but I just on the subject of Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis, they've been saying they've been on this legacy program forever. You know, there's a whiff of subpoena in the air. They're saying, oh, well, I was only told about it. You know, Eric Davis, I don't have any personal experience of ET materials, technology or biology. You know, Hal Puthoff has been saying the same thing. If there was anything to this, I saw Elon Musk being interviewed, and he said, look, you know, if this was happening, if the alien spacecraft were crashing here and they were being reverse engineered, I would know all about it, says Elon Musk. And he said, if I saw any tangible evidence to support extraterrestrials coming to this planet, I would put it on X immediately. I would tell the world. Now, I believe Musk. I think he would. He's a space nut, obviously. He said he wants to die on Mars. He said he wants to make Star Trek real. He would love to see starships, you know, like the Enterprise, you know, with big crews on them. But he's not hiring Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis, is he? He's not hiring any of these clowns that say they were involved in this legacy reverse engineering program. Musk could buy anyone he likes. I mean, he could. You know, why not just get all these people that say, yeah, I was involved in the legacy program, you know, Bob Lazar, all these people. Just get them into a room, have a meeting and say, okay, if you can convince me that you can build me a starship, I'm going to pay you, you know, $1 million a month to build one. Musk could afford to do that. It doesn't happen, does it? Because Musk knows, as well as I know, and as well as most of you know, it's all bullshit. All these people are just bullshitters. There's no substance to any of this nonsense. Got to remember too that Gary Nolan is one of the founders of the Soul Foundation, the Shit Out of Luck Foundation. They're going to be shit out of luck if they think they're going to be dealing with any ET materials. Soul Foundation seems to me to do very little more than put forward fake whistleblowers and witnesses telling science fiction stories and putting out completely pointless white papers advising governments on what to do should aliens turn up. I'll give you a tip, they're not going to. And if they do, we won't know about it. We'll all be dead. Biological weapon into the atmosphere, because the only reason aliens will come here is for the planet. They're not going to come here and have tea and scones with Mike Batista or Chris Bledsoe or any of these other clowns. How are we doing? Bit over half an hour. It's quite surprising, really. There's a small notebook again this week, but there's a lot of pages, so yeah, it might stretch out to an hour maybe. Now, I saw that Dr. Venturelli, you know, the guy that last week was appeared in Fox's Moment of Contact nonsense. Now, I saw him being interviewed by, I can't remember his name now. He's one of these famous podcasters anyway. He's got millions of subscribers. I should have made a note of it. But he tells us he saw a live alien for 3 to 4 minutes. Now that's not what he said to Mr. Fox, is it? It's not what he told us when he was presenting his evidence. Mr. Fox's moment of contact nonsense. Because originally in that he said he was called to go to the hospital to have a look at one of his patients. While he was there, he saw an alien. Then he changed the story to he was called to go to the hospital to do a medical evaluation of an alien. Just one person. Can you believe that? One person on their own. So the story changed there. Now it's changed again. Now he's saying he didn't examine the alien at all. He only saw the alien for 3 or 4 minutes. So what happened then? So the Varginha story is all over the place. None of the people are credible. Dr. Venturelli especially not credible. The story is all over the place. It's got more holes than a colander. All he's done is transpose. He was called to the hospital to have a look at one of his patients. It was probably, he said that the alien was about the same size as a 7-year-old kid. He probably had to go there to look at one of his patients, a 7-year-old kid, and he's transposed the alien into that position. And he's telling the story about the alien when really he was just examining a kid. Because as I said last week, you would not do a cursory examination of an alien. You would do a very detailed examination. And it wouldn't just be one person, it would be a few people around. It would be in a quarantine area. It's not going to be in a ward. We're in a room with another patient. You know, and you're going to note the amount of digits, the flexibility of the digits, opposing thumbs, you know, all this. There's so much detail that would go into it, into the bodies, the genitalia. You know, he referred to it as he. How does he know? Now he's saying he saw it for 3 or 4 minutes. Story's changed again. Put a line through Dr. Venturelli. Put a line through all of those clowns. So, don't favorite page. So his story has more holes than a colander, so I remember that bit. And of course, no one could medically assess an alien. Can you imagine medically assessing an alien being in 3 or 4 minutes? You'd be going, what WTF is this, for at least a minute and a half, wouldn't you? While you're stretching on your rubber gloves, you know, turning it upside down. I mean, what's this aperture here, you know? That looks similar. You know, does it pee and poo? Does it have guano, like birds? Reptiles. I think some reptiles have guano there. Yeah, so the whole Varginha thing is complete and utter rubbish. I saw a video during the week of it was the rehearsal for James Fox's moment of contact, you know, where they're all standing there, I swear, without a Bible in sight, you know, without a polygraph machine in sight. The actual rehearsal for it, where James Fox is directing the people that are going to appear in the video. Because they're all acting. They've all got to remember their lines. I'm surprised Fox was dumb enough to release that video showing it. Basic, you know, it's I don't even know. It may have even been called, you know, moment of contact behind the scenes. Yeah, it's just ludicrous nonsense. So, goodness knows how much that cost to produce, or how much Fox has made out of it. How many investors he got in it. But I mean, even if it makes money, all it's doing is fleecing the gullible, because none of it is true. It's all science fiction rubbish. People pay money to go and see it. Oh yeah, well, you know, they had an alien and the guy went up there and he went up there to see a patient, and then he saw an alien. Oh no, he didn't. No, he was called up to go and assess the alien. That's right. Yeah, well, then he only saw it for 3 or 4 minutes. That's right. Yeah. But that was worth, you know, $29.95. I mean, that whole thing stinks. I mean, it smells so bad. I can smell it from all the way down here in Australia. All these witnesses had to remember their lines. They had to rehearse their presentation. People remembering facts don't have to do that. They'll sit down and they'll tell you what happened. They don't have to rehearse. None of them are credible. Not one of them. Personal opinion. So, the whole Varginha story is nonsense. None of it makes sense. The town of Varginha has apparently modelled itself on Roswell. You know, they have flying saucers now. You know, they've got a visitor centre with fiberglass aliens. It's a lot like Roswell. They've turned it into a tourist attraction. So it's in their interest to keep the science fiction rubbish rolling, because they're going to make money out of it. I don't know how Varginha would make its money normally, whether it's a farming community. But now, flying saucers on sticks, you know, the Alien Crash Recovery Centre, just like Roswell. So, yeah, it's complete and utter rubbish, an absolute waste of time. They'll suck in and fleece the tourists with this nonsense. I wonder if Foxy gets a kickback from the Varginha Tourist Board. That wouldn't surprise me, you know. So the whole Varginha story is full of holes. One guy examining an alien for 3 or 4 minutes. Pathetic nonsense. Okay, on to the next. What have I seen? I can hardly wait. I've forgotten I've written most of this. Okay, is Lou Elizondo a disinfo agent. Yeah, I saw somebody presenting a video. Is Lou Elizondo a disinfo agent? You know, did he deliberately make a fool of himself by showing images of a chandelier and saying it was an alien mothership shot from the American embassy? Crop irrigation circles, huge UFOs. Now, did he deliberately make a fool of himself to discredit the civilian disclosure effort? To make the civilian disclosure guys look like fools? Well, to be honest, I mean, they don't need any help there, do they? I mean, they look foolish anyway. And I certainly don't think Elizondo is a disinfo agent. You know, I think he's just a personal opinion. I just think he's a plain old bullshitter who's jumped on the UFO-tainment bandwagon. You know, he was involved with the TTSA. You know, it's a business. These people make money out of it, and there's nothing real to it. You know, it's talking fees, books, TV shows. You know, so Elizondo is not a disinfo agent. He's just a plain old bullshitter. And apparently Jay Stratton's book's coming out soon, isn't it? Jay Stratton and Lou Elizondo are at loggerheads, you know, at each other's throats. Who did what? Who was in charge of what? Now remember, ATIP was not a real program. Elizondo could have been in charge of ATIP. It wasn't a funded program. It was his hobby. You know, just like the Steve Mumbling UFO Research Organisation. I can't think of an acronym, but it's bullshit, isn't it? Anyone can do that. You know, the Mavis from Crossroads UFO Research Organisation from Coronation Street, sorry, not Crossroads. I don't really know, Rita. I think they're aliens. Shut up, Mavis. Now, so they don't need any help in that department. Steve Batshit was being interviewed by somebody saying disclosure's coming this year. I can't remember if Batshit was saying Trump is going to disclose on the 7th of July. Somebody was. Oh, a filmmaker. That's on another page. But I don't know whether Batshit was repeating that. But Steve Batshit has been saying disclosure's just around the corner. You know, it was going to come within 60 days of Trump being inaugurated. He's been saying disclosure's just around the corner, we're on the cusp. He's been saying that for 20 years. He'll still be saying it. He'll still be saying it when they tip him into his vase. Be a bit echoey. Disclosure's just around the corner. Drivel. There's nothing to disclose. It's all science fiction rubbish. It must be blatantly obvious to anybody with an IQ bigger than their shoe size that this is nothing more than science fiction bullshit. That's Steve Batshit. So Ross Coulthart tells us, our old mate Ross Coulthart, it's got to be true. There's a filmmaker called Mark Christopher Lee, he's a Pommy guy apparently, who tells us Donald Trump is going to make an announcement sometime on July the 8th. Sometime on July the 8th. So he knows it's July the 8th. Sometime on July the 8th. You know, so he doesn't know it's 10:30 in the morning. Or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 6 o'clock in the evening. Sometime on July the 8th. Yeah, oh dear, I don't know. He tells us this is going to happen because it's July the 8th is the anniversary of the Roswell crash. Of course, that's completely wrong. I mean, people that say that it happened on July the 7th, which is the far more popular date for it, are completely wrong. Because Mac Brazel found the Roswell wreckage in his field on June the 14th. Who knows how long it had been in his field by then. You know, and it was... Oh dear. So Brazel, Brazel said he found balsa wood sticks, tin foil, rubber strips, a cardboard fin stuck to a surface with Scotch tape. That was the Roswell wreckage, found by Mac Brazel on June the 14th. And in case you haven't seen Mac Brazel's statement, I'll leave a link to it below, and you can read it for yourself. Now this guy, Christopher Lee, is it? Christopher Lee. He says that Trump is going to make an announcement on July the 8th. I'll make a bold prediction. If Trump makes any kind of announcement relating to extraterrestrial visitation, he will repeat the official statement from the Pentagon, which is exactly the same as the official statement from Arrow. They've looked into it, and there is zero tangible evidence to support ETs coming here, ETs crashing here, or their technology being reverse engineered here. There is no substance to any of this. It's science fiction rubbish. If Trump makes an announcement at all, that's what he will say. So, if Trump makes an announcement about disclosure, he's going to say there's nothing to disclose. I've said it before, I've personally seen two TV interviews with Trump when asked about this. And he said that personally he doesn't believe in aliens. Trump doesn't believe in aliens. This tells me that no one from any government department, any defence contractor, any compartment, has told him, any member of any foreign government or any of those agencies from foreign governments has told him ETs are coming here. If any of them had told him it was happening, he would believe in aliens, wouldn't he? I chased a balloon. That doesn't mean it was ET, does it? My fighter jet, I'm not used to seeing balloon motionless in the sky, so to me it looked like it was flying really fast and I couldn't manoeuvre like the balloon. Well, of course you can't, not in a fast moving jet. You can't manoeuvre around a stationary object, can you? So yeah, put a line through Coulthart. I've said it before, he's just a personal opinion. Coulthart's just another bullshitter. Although, to be fair, Coulthart did say that he hasn't heard any rumblings from all of his sources that Trump's going to make any kind of an announcement on July the 8th. Coulthart can't possibly tell us who his sources are, because we would have all heard of them and we would all fall about laughing. If he told us the names of his sources, we would recognise them and fall about laughing. So, and the other thing too is that Coulthart repeatedly gets pissed off when people ask him. They say, "You've told us about this alien spacecraft so big, it's outside the United States. They couldn't move it and put a building over it." I'm not going to say where it is. Why should I? I'm not obliged to tell you where it is. Well, why mention it at all? It's just to create a bit of intrigue. Coulthart knows there's no crashed ET craft outside the US or anywhere else that's got a building over it. He knows it's bullshit. He says that to create intrigue, because he's a fanboy, because he's got books to sell. It's as simple as that. So, and if Coulthart was confident that there was an alien spacecraft with a building over it, all he's got to do is tell us all where it is. Because if that, people will go there and check it out. Arrow would go there and check it out. They're clear to look into any program. They're clear to look at anything. They're going to have counterparts in other countries, and they're going to say, let's go and have a look. And they'll say it's complete and utter bullshit. Now, if they said it's an alien spacecraft, the cat's out of the bag, isn't it? Coulthart does not need his sources anymore. He doesn't need Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and all these other bullshitters, Borland and all these other bloody clowns, Brown, Buccatelli, all these people. Doesn't need any of those, because if the cat's out of the bag, oh yeah, it's an alien spacecraft, you're right, Ross. That's it. Game, set and match, isn't it? There's zero intrigue. Disclosure has happened. New business. And of course these people cannot allow that, because the entire business revolves around pushing for the disclosure that can never come, because there's nothing to disclose. They can keep raking money in to push for disclosure. They've got to create intrigue. Well, I can't talk about that. Elizondo, yeah, well, I do know about this big spacecraft that's crashed with a builder, but I can't talk about it. No, I can't go there. Classified, NDAs. What sort of whistleblower is that? Elizondo knows it's bullshit. They all know it's bullshit. Okay, so yep. 50 minutes. Ooh, blank page. What's that? Is that the wrong way around? Or is that what is that? Blank page. What's the page that I missed? That's the one. Doesn't matter though, because I said that. If Trump makes an announcement, he'll just parrot what the Pentagon said and what Arrow said. Zero tangible evidence to support ET coming here or ever coming here. Coming here now or having ever been here. I think Mr. Lee has obviously not looked deeply enough into the Roswell incident. Either that or he's just a dyed-in-the-wall fanboy. It was an alien spacecraft. He won't hear anything else. Because if the Pommy filmmaker, Mr. Lee, had looked into it, he would have read Mac Brazel's statement. He would have found out that the guy running the Mogul balloon program. Now remember, these things were 600 feet long string of balloons with equipment on them. So it's not just a weather balloon with a little box. But the guy running the Mogul program fell about laughing when he saw in the Roswell record, RAAF captures flying disc, because he knew what it was. He knew it was Mogul balloon string number 4 that crashed on Brazel's ranch. And it was there before June the 14th. Mr. Lee is talking about a crash on July the 8th. Most of them say the Roswell crash was on July the 7th. It was a big storm, that's what brought this thing down, It's complete and utter rubbish. It had been lying in Mac Brazel's field for 3 weeks by then. So, and you hear other people saying, oh yeah, we shoot them down, we've got electromagnetic weapons and all this sort of stuff. Brought down by high-power radar. Aliens would have seen radar before. If they can get here from another part of the galaxy, we're not going to have any technology they haven't seen before. Their detection and avoidance systems will be beyond our imagination. We would not be able to shoot them down. They can't have it both ways, these people, can they? 1 minute they're saying there's 5 observables, they can move from one point to another in the blink of an eye. And the next breath they're saying, oh, we're enticing them in and shooting them down. An alien spacecraft is going to be able to detect and avoid anything we can throw at it. They're certainly going to be familiar with radar and electromagnetic weapons, directed energy weapons. Oh, just on directed energy weapons, Nolan was saying he's seen people with brain damage. Now, I would suspect that he spends most of his time surrounded by people with brain damage at the Soul Foundation. But there are physical changes to the brain, And the interviewer said, well, what could cause that? And he said, oh, directed energy weapon, She said, what is a directed energy weapon? He said, oh, well, you've got one in your kitchen. It's a microwave oven. And I thought that it's occurred to Nolan, and it's a far more believable explanation, that the people that he's seen that have physical brain damage that looks like it was done by microwaves or something like that have simply got a leaky microwave oven in their kitchen. And they do have brain damage, and it has been caused by microwaves. But it's got nothing whatsoever to do with aliens. And I think Nolan knows that. And that's why I think he mentioned the microwave oven in the kitchen before he realised what he was saying. So I think that's, if you look at, consider Occam's razor. someone's got some brain damage from microwaves. Have they been microwaved by a visiting starship? Aliens from another part of the galaxy? Or have they got an old microwave in the kitchen that leaks microwaves? Well, what do you think is more likely? I know where my money would be. And actually, yeah, if people are thinking that these embassy officials and these sort of people are being microwaved, you know, the Havana syndrome, just give them, you can buy them at any of these electrical stores. They're not very expensive. Get a microwave leakage detector and you can just run it around your microwave oven and see if you're getting any microwave readings, see if it's leaking any microwaves. And if you give one of those just to each one of your diplomats and each one of your spies, if they're CIA guys or whoever, that are going to spend some time in South America or Russia or anywhere else, then they could just put that on the bedside table. And if it starts ticking away, beeping, they know they're being microwaved. New business. So, yes, I think if Nolan really is, and I mean, I don't believe, personal opinion, I don't believe Nolan. Nolan, I don't think he's credible. I certainly don't believe his aliens in the bedroom story. He was involved with the TTSA and that, you know, industrial waste bullshit. So I honestly, when it comes to this subject, I will put a line through Gary Nolan, personally. So, so there we go. So then I saw UAP Gerb, the alphabet soup man, just sits there and rattles off all these acronyms. So he thinks it makes him sound credible. He doesn't, of course. Pardon me, he's put forward some names that I've never heard before that may be involved with the legacy sort of reverse engineering program. Of course, we know there is no such thing as fact, because someone would have produced some tangible evidence of it by now. That hasn't happened. So he's put forward some names that I've never heard before that could be involved in the legacy reverse engineering program. Now, has UAP Gerb been researching JASON? Remember that organisation called JASON that I mentioned last week or the week before probably? It's a team of elite scientists that can be called upon. They're like a go team. They can be called upon to help the Department of War and the Department of Energy if they get anything interesting they want. You know, if an alien spacecraft did crash here, that's the team that would be called to go and have a look at it. Are these people members of JASON? And if they are, what made Mr. Gerb research JASON? If he did, thanks for the view, Mr. Gerb. Oh dear. Yeah. So, it'd be interesting to find out if these guys are in fact members of JASON. I haven't Googled it. I don't know if that information is available. If it is, I'll have a look at it and I'll see if any of them are the names he's put forward. And if they are, thanks again for watching Gerb. Glad I gave you some food for thought. Oh yeah, and I saw another one. He's one of the better ones, I think, because he will ask questions. Some of them are ridiculous. He certainly supports some of the stuff that I think is obviously nonsense. But he said he's been looking into this for 2 years and he thinks there's something to it. 2 whole years this guy's been looking into it and he thinks there's something to it. I've been looking into this since the 70s. I mean, I might be a bit older than I look. I mean, I was a teenager when I watched Armstrong step on the moon, okay? I've been looking into this since the 70s. I've done all this stuff, you know, Arthur Shuttlewood. I went around Arthur Shuttlewood's house and he was hiding under the table. You know, warnings from flying friends, been up a Cradle Hill, Clay Hill, you know, Peter Paget. I've looked at all this stuff. Timothy Good, all Bob Lazar, all these drivel. All the bullshitters come and go. The stories remain the same. Take my word for it. There is nothing to this. Aliens are not coming here. They're not crashing here. They've never been here. It's nonsense. Science fiction rubbish. Disclosure isn't coming because there's nothing to disclose. I previously mentioned that, but as I've said, I write these notes at different times. Now, something I thought, this is factual, something that I thought was quite interesting was that, anyone remember the SETI at Home program? When the Arecibo radio telescope used to be doing radio astronomy, but it had a SETI receiver at the focal point of the dish. So wherever it was looking, as a side program, there was a SETI package attached to the dish, and all that data was being farmed out because there was so much data. It was farmed out to millions of home computers. SETI at Home it was called. Now that stopped when the Arecibo radio telescope collapsed. That was rather unfortunate, because that was one of the few, there's probably only 2 or 3 left, that were capable of transmitting big signals. When they transmitted a signal, I think it was 1970 something, using FSK or PSK, it's a really ancient modulation technique for data. And they beamed the signal out into space, and the ERP, the effective radiated power from that dish was 3 terawatts. Okay, high power transmission, 3 terawatts. So that's still going across the galaxy, that signal. But unfortunately it's gone, it's collapsed, but the data was going out to all these home computers. That was an aside there, the transmitter power. It's a 100 kilowatt transmitter, it was all antenna gained. Squashed it all into a narrow beam. So you would need a 3 terawatt omnidirectional signal to produce that field strength at a given point from the antenna. So, all of the data from the SETI at Home project has now been analysed. There is no more data coming from the Arecibo radio telescope. All of the data from SETI at Home has been analysed. So, there's been 21 years worth of data collected by the now defunct Arecibo radio telescope. It detected 12 billion individual radio signals. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, none of them appeared to be artificial. None of them were transmissions from aliens. They did not contain a couple of parameters that would point them out as being a technological transmission made by critters. Narrowband modulation, and there's information on it. Even if you demodulate it and you can't make any sense of the information, the fact that it's there tells you it's a synthetic signal. It's coming from a device that has been built by intelligent creatures. They did not detect one of those with 12 billion signals detected. They did not detect one. So not one signal, not one of those 12 billion signals came from an engineered transmitter. So, if they're not using radio to communicate with each other, zero techno signatures were discovered. Get your teeth back in. So 0 techno signatures were discovered. Now remember, as I've said before, the planets, the stars are far more bunched up towards the centre of the galaxy. Stars there, the closest stars are something like 1 light week apart. So it may be that aliens are communicating with each other across that kind of distance. I mean, we can still hear Voyager, that's 1 light day away from Earth, and that's only an 8-watt transmitter now. The transmitter power's down to 8 watts. We can still receive it on Earth. It's a really weak signal, but we can still receive it. So if you've got aliens communicating with high power signals between stars at the centre of the galaxy, some might overspill and be detectable from here, but nothing has been detected. Okay, and finally, an hour and 5 minutes. Good luck. I'll probably get a chance to say this before they go. I think the first launch window is, or the first opportunity for launching is on the 6th, which is before next weekend. So I'll say it now, good luck to the Artemis 2 crew. You know, it's the crew that's going to be landing on the moon with Artemis 3. They're going to put the first woman on the moon if the Chinese don't beat them to it. They'll let the woman step out on the surface first because Artemis, sister of Apollo, that's what the whole program is about. So hopefully they get that far. Hopefully they're not going to let her reverse park the spacecraft on the surface. Probably be better if that was done by one of the guys. But on a serious note, I do wish them good luck, because having looked at the images of the returned Artemis 1 heat shield, personally I would not be flying on it. Their attitude appears to be, why spend money on a new heat shield made of the same material SpaceX uses, which is a more modern material and holds up very well apparently. So why change the heat shield for one made of that material as used by SpaceX when you can just change the trajectory? So instead of having to skip trajectory, they're going to come in harder, so it's going to be exposed to heat for a shorter period of time. But it's probably going to be exposed to more heat, I would suspect, for that limited period of time. So I sincerely hope the NASA boffins have got it right. Of course, neither they nor Mr. Isaacman will be flying on it. So there we go. So good luck to Artemis 2. I really hope it goes well. Personally, I don't like the look of that heat shield. So I really do hope the NASA boffins have got all their ducks in a row. And they're not going to kill these guys by cheaping out, not spending any money and simply changing the trajectory. I've got a bit of a tingly feeling, haven't I? I think I'm being psionically attacked by Mike Batista, or it could be telekinesis. It could be the Darth Vader of Guantanamo Bay. Get a grip, people. Kick all this bloody rubbish into touch. FFS. Well, if you've struggled through the video all the way to this point, as always, many thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.